The world collapsed in an instant. The ground beneath Max's paws shook violently, and before he could even bark, everything was thrown into chaos. Concrete walls cracked, steel beams bent, and debris rained down in an all-consuming rush. Max felt himself thrown to the floor, the weight of the falling rubble pressing down on him with the force of an avalanche. His world turned into a nightmare, a suffocating prison of dust, metal, and stone. He tried to move, but the rubble was too heavy. His body was trapped, and every breath was labored, filled with the smell of dirt and smoke. Max's eyes darted around, disoriented, but there was one thought that shone clearly through the confusion. Sarah. Max and Sarah had been inseparable for years. She was his rock, his constant companion through thick and thin. They had spent endless days together, running through fields, cuddling on the couch, and exploring the world side by side. She had raised him from a small pup, teaching him how to protect, to love, and to never give up. Now, as the world crumbled around him, Max couldn't remember where she was. Was she buried too? Had she been caught in the same disaster? The panic began to rise in his chest, but it was quickly overshadowed by his resolve. He couldn't leave her. He couldn't just lie there, waiting for help to come. He had to find her. The rubble was relentless. The weight pressing on Max was immense, but he fought with everything he had. His claws scraped against the sharp edges of concrete and twisted metal, but there was no way out. The pain was unbearable, but the thought of Sarah kept him going. He could hear distant sounds, shouts, sirens, but no one was close enough to help him. Minutes stretched into hours. Max's body was exhausted, but his mind kept pushing him forward. Every movement, every inch of ground he covered was a victory. His paws were raw and his muscles trembled from the effort, but he refused to stop. The weight above him was unbearable, but Max's determination was even stronger. And then, just when he thought he couldn't go any further, he heard it. A faint voice, weak and distant. "Max!" It was Sarah. Her voice was barely audible, but it was enough to reignite the fire within him. She was alive. She was still out there, and Max would stop at nothing to find her. Max clawed at the rubble with renewed strength. Each movement was more painful than the last, his body screaming in protest, but he pushed on. His breath came in shallow gasps, but he refused to stop. The sound of Sarah's voice was his beacon, guiding him through the darkness. He dug furiously, his claws scraping against metal, his body burning with fatigue. But he couldn't quit. Minutes passed, then hours. Time seemed to stretch on forever as Max dug through the rubble. The weight above him didn't relent, but he kept going. His mind was focused entirely on Sarah. He had to find her. He couldn't fail her. With a final desperate push, Max broke through a layer of debris. His body, bruised and battered, scraped against sharp metal and jagged stone, but he barely noticed. There, just a few feet away, was Sarah, trapped beneath a pile of rubble, but alive. Sarah's eyes fluttered open, the sound of Max's frantic digging reaching her ears. She had been knocked unconscious in the chaos, but when she awoke, all she could think about was Max. Was he okay? Was he alive? She tried to move, but the weight of the rubble was too much. She could barely breathe, and her body was too weak to move. But then she heard it, the soft, urgent sound of Max's bark. "Max," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. She was so close to losing hope, but then Max's voice gave her the strength to fight. He was out there. He hadn't given up on her, and neither would she. Sarah reached out, her hand trembling, and felt the familiar warmth of Max's fur against her skin. Max was there. He had come for her. Through the wreckage, through the pain, through everything, he had found her. Max nudged Sarah gently, his tail wagging weakly, despite the pain coursing through his body. His eyes were filled with love and loyalty, his bond with her stronger than anything the world could throw at them. Sarah, barely able to move, reached out and touched his head, tears streaming down her face. "You found me. I knew you would." Max licked her face, his tail thumping softly on the ground. It was a simple gesture, but it said everything. It said that he would always be there for her. "No matter what," Max barked again, his voice hoarse, and Sarah's heart soared. She wasn't alone anymore. Max had found her. He had saved her. But they weren't out of danger yet. The building around them was still unstable, and they had to get out before the entire structure collapsed. Max, despite his exhaustion, stood tall. He wouldn't leave Sarah's side. With all the strength he could muster, he pulled her toward him, trying to get her out of the debris. Just then, a team of rescuers arrived. They had heard Max's barks and followed the sound to the site. They worked quickly to clear the rubble, pulling Sarah and Max out of the wreckage. Max, though battered and bruised, refused to leave her. He stood guard, protecting her, even when the rescuers tried to lead them to safety. When they finally reached the hospital, Max refused to leave Sarah's side. He lay beside her bed, watching over her, his eyes never leaving her. Sarah was being treated for her injuries, but she knew she would be okay. She had Max by her side. Days passed and Sarah recovered. But the bond between her and Max had deepened even further. They had been through something no one should ever have to experience, but together, they had survived. Max had shown her the true meaning of loyalty and love. Max's heroism had saved her life, but it had also changed hers forever. She couldn't have done it without him. He had been her strength when she had none left, her protector when the world seemed too dark. And now, she was determined to live her life in a way that honored that bond. Max's heroism wasn't just a matter of survival. It was about love, about loyalty, and about never giving up, no matter how impossible the situation seemed. His actions teach us that heroism doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes it's quiet, unassuming, and born out of love. Max was just a dog, but he was more than that. He was a hero, and we can all learn something from him. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.